How did I get here? Not here geographically, here financially, here emotionally, in a life that looked like the right plan, built on the right foundation, followed all the right steps, and somehow still arrive at a place that does not feel like freedom. How did I lose so much value from my investments? How, with all of my hard work, did I end up starting over at this age? If any of the version of these questions have been living quietly in the back of your mind, this video is for you. Not because I have a magic answer, but because there is a pattern, a very specific, very consistent pattern that no one in the mainstream conversation is naming directly. And once you see it, you will never look at the life you've been sold the same way again. That pattern has a name. It's called the middle class trap. And that is what this video is about.
Build freedom intentionally with Emro.
I'm Emro, founder of Relocate with Revenue. Income first, freedom always. If this is the conversation you have been looking for, follow along. And don't forget to click the subscribe button because there's more to come. But first, I'm going to show you the promise that started all of this, what you've been told, what the fine print actually says, and why the gap between those two things are where the trap lives. But before I name the trap, I want to be fair about what was offered. Work hard, be responsible, invest in the right assets, build equity, protect what you accumulate, and eventually the life that you've been building towards will arise. The mortgage becomes an asset. The pension becomes security. The discipline becomes freedom. That promise was not a lie. It was real for a specific generation in a specific economy window under a specific set of conditions. But here is what the promise did not include in the fine print. It did not tell you that the rules governing every single one of those assets, the property, the pension, the investment, could be changed at any time by people you never voted for in ways that you were never consulted about. It did not tell you that the construct, the sequence of work, invest, accumulate, retire, was designed for a world that no longer fully exists. And it did not tell you that by the time you realized that the rules had changed, you would already be too deep inside the structure to leave without a cost. That is the trap, not the decisions you make, the structure in which those decisions were made. So that is the promise. Now, let me show you the mechanics, how the trap actually works in 3 steps, and why the third step is the one that cost you everything. And I want to be precise about this because the pattern is the same whether we're talking about real estate, pension funds, small businesses, or investment portfolios. Step 1, the construct loops you in. It offers something real, equity, security, income, growth, and it delivers on that offer, at least initially. You buy in, you commit, you structure your financial life around that asset. You make decisions, career decisions, lifestyle decisions, and location decisions that assume that the asset will continue to perform as it's been performing. This is not naivety. This is rational behavior inside of a system that has been telling you consistently and credibly that this is how wealth is built. Step 2, the government or the institution or the regulators or the market changes the rules, not because your asset was performing badly or your investment was reckless, simply because the rules are allowed to change. And the people who makes the rules are not the people whose financial lives depend on them staying the same. I watched this happen in real time, directly to my clients when I was working as a realtor. A city bylaw change came through prohibiting short-term rentals, Airbnb listings, verbal, in a specific jurisdiction. These were homeowners who had legally and legitimately structured part of their property income around short-term rentals. It was allowed when they bought. It was allowed when they renovated. It was allowed when they built their financial projections around it. When the bylaws changed, they did not receive a letter explaining their options. They did not receive a grace period to restructure. They received a bill, a very large bill, sent to everyone whose name was on the property title in that affected area. The string had been pulled, the noose had tightened, and the people inside of the structure, my clients included, had their hands forced before they could think clearly. Step 3, the forced decision. And this is the part of the trap that is most costly, not because the decision itself is always wrong, but because it is made under pressure, without time, without full information, and without the luxury of waiting for the right moment. What happened in that jurisdiction was predictable in retrospect. Listings flooded the market almost simultaneously because the bylaw change affected every short-term rental operator at the same time. Supplies surged overnight, prices dropped, and the buyers who were available knew that the sellers were under pressure and priced accordingly. My clients sold at a loss, not because they had made a bad investment, but because of a decision made in a room that they were never in, had restructured the market that they were inside of. And the only exit available to them at the time, they were forced to take it, which cost them the equity that they had spent years building. One rule change, one bill they did not vote for, one forced decision under pressure, and years of discipline accumulation gone in a single transaction. That is not a cautionary tale about Airbnb. That is the middle class trap in action. In any market, in any asset class, in any country where the rules are made by people whose financial outcomes are not tied to theirs. The Airbnb story is one version, but the pattern is not specific to short-term rentals. It is the pension funds that was reconstructed by a government that needed to redirect capital. It is the small business that was regulated out of a model that had been profitable for decades. It is the investment property that was taxed in a way that the projections had not accounted for. It is the job that was automated or outsourced or reconstructed, not because the person doing it was inadequate, but because the institution decided that the rules can change, and so they changed them. In every single one of those scenarios, the sequence is the same. The construct pulls you in. The rules change without your consent. Your hands are forced, and the decision made under pressure costs you more than the years of discipline that preceded it. If you're watching this thinking that that sounds familiar, I want you to know something important. It is not your fault. I want to say that clearly. It was the construct, the structure. And more importantly, the structure is not the only one available to you. Most people who experience this spend most of their energy trying to fix the situation inside of the same system, the same construct that created it. So here's what I want to leave with you. Not a solution, not yet, with a question. A different question than the one most people are asking. Because the question you ask determines the map that you use. And the map that you've been given has limits that the map holder and the map maker never told you about. So what is this question that I'm going to leave you with? Most people who have experienced a version of something similar to what I've described in this video ask the same question. How do I protect what I've built? And that is an understandable question, but it is the wrong one. The right question is this. Is there a system where what I have built is worth more, where the rules are not designed to move the ground beneath me? That question has an answer, and the answer has a name. It's called GeoArbitrage. Before I go any further, I want to be clear about what GeoArbitrage is not. It is not running away. It is not abandoning your community or the people you love. It is not a loophole or a trick. It is a strategy, a legal, documented, increasingly mainstream strategy that allows you to deploy what you have built, your skills, your savings, your income in an environment where it goes further, where the rules are more stable, where the margins that you've been working towards your entire career is actually reachable. And it is what this entire channel is built on. If this video landed, and if you feel connected to anything that I've said about using GeoArbitrage as a strategy, but you're not sure where to start, no problem. I want to offer you your starting point. Not a blueprint, not a session, not a commitment of any kind. Just a starting point. It is called the Relocation Toolkit. It was built specifically for the person like you asking the questions, but you're not sure what the answers look like. You're not sure if you're ready to relocate. That's where the Relocation Toolkit has the advantage, because it asks you the questions. It asks you the relevant questions that is necessary for you to make the right decisions. And it also includes the Readiness Mirror AI tool, which you plug into your AI of choice. And it asks you a series of questions that helps you to understand where you actually are in this process. Not where you think you are, where you are. The Relocation Toolkit is available by way of the link in the description below or the link in the bio. You do not have to be ready to move. You just have to be willing to answer the questions. And the tool helps you to gain the clarity that you need to make the right decision. I'm Emerald. This is Relocate with Revenue. Income first, freedom always. That is our motto here at Relocate with Revenue. If that sounds like a logical plan, hit the subscribe button and click on the notification bell for new uploads. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Relocate with revenue. A channel about relocation leverage. Income independent leverage. GeoArbitrage leverage. Lifestyle leverage. Build freedom intentionally with them